Hello, namaste, adab, buenos dias, bonjour, aloha. Trying to use words to let you know that I am greeting you and I'm glad to be here. A week ago, one of the other speakers, Chandra Mahadev, contacted me on Facebook and said, there's a fellow named Rohit who is going to do this program, and I think you would be good as part of the program. You should do it. So the next thing I know, I get a message from Rohit, and I agreed. And then I started having second thoughts. And I sent a message back to Chandra, and I said, what have I gotten into? And he said, trust me. That's all. And that is a very important part of any kind of attempt at communication. Trust. As a psychologist, I know that I attempt to read, if you will, the affect of patients who are in my office. If the looks on their faces are matching with the words that they're saying, if they are nervous, if their bodies are tight, if they're very relaxed, if they're too relaxed, it is my job to observe their affect along with listening to their words. I've been involved with words for a long, long time. 60 years ago, I was in 8th grade, 8th standard, St. Mary's School, Knoxville, Tennessee, and we were called into an assembly in a room somewhat like this, only much smaller. And a boy from the 9th grade named Greg Haggerty was going to give a speech with which he had won an oratorical contest. And he stood on the stage in front of us, and I'm sitting out there, and Greg goes, between the pit of man's fears and the summit of man's hopes lies the twilight zone. I was blown away. I was enraptured. I wanted to be able to communicate with people the way Greg did. I knew words were important. I'd grown up reading since I was very, very young. Children's library, regular library. My family, there used to be a thing in the United States called the Book of the Month Club. And my family had a Book of the Month Club, one science book and one other book every month for me and my brother to read. So I always knew words were important. But sitting there watching Greg and listening to Greg, it was incredible how important the words were. So the next year, when I went to high school, even though I was very nervous, I got into speech and drama, and I became an orator and an actor, and eventually I won some oratorical contests also. And then later on, after college, I became a broadcast journalist. Again, words and my voice. I would type the news stories, and I would stand in front of a microphone or sit in front of a microphone, and the guy would go like that. And I would start reading, in the news today, blah, 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 blah. My words I had written, my voice speaking those words. Later on, I went into television news. And so there is a new element added to it, and that is looking at the camera. Looking, if you will, sincerely. Looking like I want you to trust me when I tell you these things. There was, in my wife's grandfather's village, some years ago, a young couple were getting married. His name was Rajiv. Her name was Saroj. She was from a different village, but their families had met and had gotten them together and agreed. And her family provided a bit of a dowry, and they had a wedding, and they ate food, and everything was good. And then they prepared to go back to his village to live. Now, he had one horse. He had a horse, and it was hooked to a little cart, and her clothes were put on the cart, and her dowry, which had been presented to him. And it was a bit of a load for that little horse. And so he sat up, nervous, not knowing what to expect, sat up with the reins in his hand, and his new bride with the tick on her head sitting next to him. And he, jello. And the horse didn't go. And he didn't know what to do. His wife, his new bride, all of a sudden pointed at the horse and said, ache. He had no idea what that meant, but he wasn't going to ask at that time. He kept cello, 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 and the horse started and went. In a little while, there was a rut in the road, and he was going very slowly, and the horse pulled the wagon into the rut and then had trouble getting it out. And the horse again stopped. And he said, cello, cello. And his wife pointed again at the horse and said, do. He had no idea what was going on. A bit later, they came to a spring, water running across the road. And the horse didn't want to step in the water, so he stopped. And Rajiv again said, cello. And Saroj said, teen. And she reached in her sari and she pulled out a pistol and she cocked the pistol and she shot the horse dead. He was astounded. What have you done? Why have you done this? Woman, you are crazy. This is our only horse. What are we going to do now? And she looked at him and pointed and said, ache. And they had a long and successful marriage. So communication is not only words, it's also actions. Now, we live in a digital age in which I communicate primarily with Chunder through Facebook. I do a lot of Facebook postings for, I live in America. My wife is a Rajput from Banaras, and we have a home here in Lucknow. But most of the time we live in the US, in Tennessee, and we are both psychotherapists, psychologists. This is our relaxing place. This is our nice place. But when I am here, because so many of my American friends have never been to India and they don't know what it's like, you know, everybody's seen pictures of the Taj Mahal and pictures of India Gate and all of that. They haven't seen pictures of food on the table. They haven't seen pictures of families getting together doing whatever it is families do. They haven't seen pictures of markets and bazaars and things. So I take some pictures and then I write some words to go with the pictures and I post it, and my American friends seem to enjoy it. What I'm doing is they are reading the words, but they're getting a feeling along with the words. That is a terribly important part of our communication. Admittedly, much of our communication these days is digital. We get at a computer and we type, we write. But how do we write? We write with words that will affect someone. We write with words we want someone to believe. We write with words that we want someone to trust us. Trust me, I am telling the truth. My son is a college professor. He's in Delhi. His wife is a diplomat with the Bureau of External Affairs. His father-in-law, her father, is a politician. My son is doing some consulting for a political party. I'm not going to say which one. His father-in-law is wanting to run for election in Mumbai from the same political party. So my son is talking as a consultant to some of the party officials. His father-in-law is talking to the people from the same party in Mumbai about what's going on and what they want to go on. And then his wife, my daughter-in-law, goes to work at the Ministry of External Affairs and talks to other diplomats and the things they have heard about what's going on in politics. And all three stories are different. They hear different things from different people depending on what the people want them to believe. And that is something I will add. It is wonderful to be believable, to write good words, to let people see in their minds the village, Malanpur, the horse, the husband and the wife sitting on the cart, and the wife shooting the horse. You saw that. This kind of communication began thousands of years ago, no doubt, around a fire. And there would be somebody talking and telling a story, and other people would listen, and they would close their eyes, and they would see in their minds what stories were being told. That is what I encourage you to do today. When you are writing, when you are blogging, when you are messaging, when you are WhatsApping, tell a story. Make it real to the person on the other end. Put some emotion into it so that the person who reads your words, the person who hears your words, has feeling that goes with the words. It's very, very important. When Chandra told me, trust me, a week ago, I did, because he is my friend, and I do trust him. I didn't have to ask any questions. I didn't have to find out more information. He said, trust me, I trust him. I want you watching here in the auditorium and you watching at home perhaps to trust me. When I say communication using words, communication speaking words, communication writing words is terribly, terribly important. And doing it well is a great, great boon in life. I've been doing it. I spent 32 years in broadcast journalism, and then I returned to university and got a graduate degree in counseling psychology. And I'm still using words, and I'm still watching other people. It's just a slightly different format. And I will tell you, I'm one of the luckiest men in the world. I've got a little home in Tennessee and a little home in Lucknow. Man, you can't beat it. And it's all because I learned to use words. Thank you very much.